Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Ruger AC-556F mod, which is being made by user Tactical, and what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is, well, none other than the Ruger AC-556 gun, which is, I think, a pretty interesting addition into the game. Now, it is a bit more modern of a firearm than typically I tend to prefer, as personally, I just like more old school weaponry, or of course very lore friendly weaponry. But since this was built in the height of the Cold War in the late 70s, and considering its wooden body design, I think it actually does still fit quite nicely in this whole Fallout world, and thus here we are today. Now, what you actually do end up getting with this gun, let's take a look at the standard version of it here, and it is a pretty beautifully modeled weapon, very well textured. It is overall a 2K texture is default. If you do have problems with it though, there is a 1K download for you if you do need to lower that down a bit. Now, with its more or less standard modifications, I don't really think there is any one standard version, but you will do with the lowest of the modifications, 36 damage with 5.56 ammo, with a firing rate of 100, range of 203, accuracy of 74, and a weight of 5. Now, how you get a hold of this weapon is a little bit different to a lot of mods out there. This does not get added into the leveled loot list, nor is it added into stores. The idea being, even here in the real world, even though this gun did actually get used pretty extensively by police forces, it was never a hugely widely used weapon, and so, you know, at this point, 300 years in the future, it's probably going to be even more rare, and so there are only 3 of these guns that exist in the Commonwealth. One will be at the Museum of Freedom, one will be at the Valentine Detective Agency, and the final one is at the Dartmouth Professional Building. Or, of course, you could do what I did and just spawn them in with the console commands. You know, either or. And overall, though, a pretty cool gun. Now, my one major complaint with it right off the bat is, if we go back out to the world, it seems a bit small in my hands. I don't know, it seems a bit awkwardly small. At least this version. Once you do throw on a scope and a long barrel, like with this sniper variant that I built, you know, it actually does seem feasibly the right size. But in this base model, it does kind of seem a bit strangely small. Now, let's go check out the modifications we have before doing some shooting over there. And there's not a huge amount of modifications, but enough that makes it still quite useful, you know, starting from low level and bringing it up to some higher levels. Now, let's first check out the receivers, which also will change the barrel length. So we have 4 in here, either a long barrel semi-auto receiver, which is the most damage at 51, a short barrel semi-auto receiver, then a long barrel automatic receiver, and a short barrel automatic receiver. So just whichever barrel for accuracy you want, and then either semi-auto or full auto, you know, you pick your choice of the 4. Now, next we have just 2 options in the stock, either the folded up standard version or the extended stock, which will of course help with your accuracy, which is always good. Next we have the magazines here, which is a either 20, 30 or 40 round magazine. Now, the 30 does actually seem to be the standard, at least on here, but when I did actually look at the Museum of Freedom, I found one with the 20 clip size. So that's another reason why I said earlier, I'm not entirely sure what to call standard with this gun. But yes, you do have a lovely selection here. Now, next, and we have these sights, where we have just 3 options, either the standard iron sights, a green dot hollow sight, or a scout scope for your more sniper usage. And then finally, we have the muzzle, where we have just 2 meager options of either no muzzle or a suppressor if you're feeling a bit sneaky. So yeah, not an extraordinarily large amount of things, but overall enough to keep you busy for a good few levels. Now, as for total damage, like I said on this one, the 51 was the highest I was able to get without going into perks, etc. So not exactly the most damage of any gun out there, but still pretty good for a while in the game. And of course, as you can see here, we can make an easy sniper variant or a high-capacity full auto version, whatever your heart desires. So let's go out here and take some shots. And this is where we get to my second kinda issue with this this particular gun, but it's an issue that can be fixed. And I'm talking about the reload animation, which we'll have a gander at in a moment. But first, take a look at the standard iron sights there. It's actually fairly useful iron sights. And of course, being a fully automatic gun by default, you know, you'll go through a lot of bullets pretty quick. And here we go to the reload animation, which I'm not a big fan of. Yeah, there we are. So not only does your character decide to very slowly flip someone off, but then slowly reloads the gun. Overall, it just feels like way too much. Now, I'll admit, the first time I saw this and played around with it, I actually didn't mind it and kind of gave it a little chuckle. But in a firefight, when you're trying to reload multiple times, it just takes too much time to go through that rude gesture every time you reload. And that's my problem with it. Now, thankfully, there is an easy fix. In the optional files in the download section for this mod, there is a patch to take that out, and so you do just get a more standard animation that is a little bit more quick, which is good. So it is something fixable, so you don't have to worry about that in the future, and I would definitely recommend getting that, I believe it's called the non-vulgar reload patch. So yeah, definitely get that as well. So let's take a look at, of course, or the extended magazine version with the nice hollow sight scope on there. A little bit hard to see with the green dot there. And it's actually quite difficult to see in the light of day. In darker areas, a little bit easier. But with the 40-round magazine, you can really put bullets downrange pretty quick. And this thing actually is quite accurate overall, which does make that even better. So there we go, just keep on firing and having some fun. Now let's actually switch before it finishes the reload to the sniper variant here with one of these semi-auto, long barrel version with, of course, a silencer and the long scope. And there we go, a pretty accurate, very powerful, well, not very powerful, but powerful-ish gun for you to enjoy. Of course, doing 51 damage overall, and still doing that horrid reload animation. So yeah, that is really it for the gun, which means, of course, we have to go over here and take out poor old Will and possibly Randy. If I can see him, I can! Hello! And yeah, just to get a sense of the damage of the gun, so let us take fire and hold the breath. One shot, two shots to take down Will there. Let's see how many to take down Randy. Oh, I don't actually see him anymore. Where did he go? Oh, he's behind the bush. Of course, he's always behind the bush. Fire! There we go. I don't know how many actually hit him, but he did get taken down in at least a couple of shots, which is always good. But yes, this is the Ruger AC-556F mod. Overall, I actually think a pretty good gun. I actually do like the look of it a lot more in third person than in first person. It does look a bit more properly sized. But yeah, that is, again, really my one big problem with it that hopefully could get fixed in the future, and that is just the size of it when you are in first person seems a bit off. And the reload animation, though awkward, at least is something that can be easily fixed with a patch. So if you would like to check out this mod for yourself, and I would definitely recommend that you go and do that, you can take a look at the link in the description. And yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video today and that you do come back for the next, when hopefully we'll be looking at yet another wonderful mod. But until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one!